Welcome, Tobasi.
Hello.
Yeah, very happy to have you here in our makeshift studio because we're not in the studio. Welcome to Berlin.
Yes, it's nice to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've both met in Jenin actually, where you were the artistic director of the Freedom Theater for a long time. But we met here last week in Germany in Leipzig for a workshop for the Revolution's Promise, and then your Germany premiere of your solo piece. Here I am. So how was you want to tell us a little bit how it was for you returning to Leipzig after And Here I Am got cancelled last year, and then this year you were finally able to perform it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, to be honest, I never thought about this in this way. The people who work with me in the production, they got the contact, they were working in it, and I never thought it's like once my show would be cancelled, or like I didn't thought about any situation would make a theater show be cancelled. And then when I was talking to the producer and the people who coordinate, they were telling me we doubt this will happen. Then I already have expectation, some issues, because then I update myself about the situation, politics in Germany, the decisions about Palestine, whatever is going on in Palestine. And for me, really, I didn't expect anything. And then after this news, which is I didn't see, because they made the news, they made decisions, whatever, and I didn't know any of that. Later, I start to get contact from people, from activists, like, this is a shame, we cannot accept it, we have to do it. And then the guys, decide to put the show because they are not agree for any artist to be cancelled in any way. And I think I was so happy, so grateful actually to see that people, artists, activists decide, they make all the effort and they put the show. It was a fantastic night, technical, the show was complete, audience, many people. And for me, it's always about the result of it and the process when you see people volunteering, completing, solidarity, and that's which kind of community we need for the future. And for me, this is kind of cultural resistance to be able, in this time where technology, division, and individualism take over, people can still manage to create a community from nothing and do a success work.
Was it the first time that any of your shows was cancelled?
No, for sure. After 7th of October, I had a big tour in Sweden, and we were having a tour in France, and the first show being cancelled. And then I loved it because each time we get cancelled, we get more famous, and then the discussion start. Bring the discussion back, especially about Palestine and politics. Is the artist really should be dealt in that political way? And for sure, then news start to talk about that, and it was a big news in France. But in Sweden, the whole tour cancelled. First show being cancelled in France, and then it was a challenge. After the things start to get more crazy, then the people start to think, no, this is theater, why we have this judgment? But took time till people realize. But to be honest, as a Palestinian, I used to be cancelled. As a Palestinian, I used to be silenced. As a Palestinian, I used to come from this place, how to find a way to tell our story. Because all propagandas and all the agendas was against us, to not give us a space to show us ourselves, to tell. And the propaganda of the West, and I always say that they already made a big shift how young people in Europe look at the West, at the East, at Palestine, at Middle East, at Muslims, at Arabs. They made one picture, the terrorists, Al-Qaeda, ISIS. And it wasn't easy to fight all of this propaganda and all this year and just to say, no, please listen to us. It's a big job. It's a 70, 80 years of work to change reality, history. So for sure it's not easy. What is happening in this world now, it's exactly how we call it, when the mother gonna give a birth. And this is the maximum where humanity dealing now. what is come out.
When the water breaks.
Exactly.
It's in labor.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's like what is gonna come out from this 2 years of genocide, and people mixed up, people lost, they don't know what is the politics, what economy we're fighting for, who, what is right, what is wrong, everything got mixed, everything got much more complicated, and in the end you see, not easy to explain to people, because these politicians, this propaganda being worked in everywhere, on everyone.
It really feels like so often we live in a period of, I think you called it, Alex, once, post-truth, or I definitely heard this word post-truth, which is like the truth doesn't matter anymore. Words mean whatever, and it feels like you're floating, like there's no grounding in reality. But I want to go a bit into like the censorship question, because I actually remember the first time we met in Jenin, which was in the summer of 23 in the Freedom Theater. I asked you, I was like, oh, do you ever experience censorship of your plays in Jenin in the Freedom Theater? And you didn't understand the question the first time. You had to like ask me again, like, what do you mean? So it seems to me really crazy that in this, I mean, incredibly intense areas, like a Palestinian refugee camp that is invaded by the army like 4 times a week at least, and now Jenin is completely destroyed. But that for artists is somehow a more free space, in a way, with less censorship than like our nice liberal Western Europe. So do you want to tell us a little bit just about like the story of the Freedom Theater?
I mean, for me, it's censorship. Yeah, it was always. I learn from. I really don't take one thing and I say this is it. Like, you know, each time I'm challenging myself to change, to understand, to accept the difference. Because here is the whole point: is to accept there is people smarter than you, there is people have more experience than you, and the meaning of freedom, the meaning of censorship is different. The meaning of authority, and even the workshop, you see, we try to play with words. We try to make people what they understand words, because even words being made to understand it in one way, and sometimes that's how they cheat us. They play with the words. They cheat us in our own language. And for me, yes, the whole idea when we start about Stone Theater from 80s, like a woman believed that she want to do something, and she don't want to agree of the politics that she are in the middle of. So she decided to come to Jenin camp. She's Arna Mir Khamis, an Israeli Jew in that time, and she didn't hide any identity. And you see her, what I'm talking about is the confident, whatever who you are. It's all about confident. She confident enough to do what she's doing. And this energy can affect everyone. I promise you, if you was right 100% and you go to do whatever and you are not right, people will feel you and they will not trust you. But this woman was so confident in what she's doing, for what she's doing, and she invaded with her energy the whole camp. Everyone loves her, everyone looks at her, very obvious. She's different than other women, and she created a community of women friends, which is not easy to do, and that says a lot in Palestine. If you win the mother, you win the house, done. And that's what she did. And then she worked really like from her heart. That's why it wasn't too difficult to get a Nobel Prize, an alternative Nobel Prize. And then that money you build the small children houses. It's very clear. And she was believing in education. She believed in education and playing. And even both exchanged together. So she know what she's talking about. And that's why she was very interested in opening a children houses, especially in that time where the education collapsed in Palestine and there is no place to study or to go to school. And for her was so clear the most important is the education, where children can come, educate, learn, play. And yeah, you know, after that, she was clear talking about values and freedom. What's mean freedom? But you know, it takes time to understand this kind of values. And for sure, after that, she got cancer and died. And after that, 2002, the invasion. After the invasion, where Giuliano came, made the documentary, become very famous. And after that, people with his partners decide to reopen the Stone Theater with a new name called Freedom Theater. But the good thing with the Freedom Theater or with Giuliano in that time, he knows that he creating a whole generation. He wasn't really too rush in it, and I'm sure he knows what he's doing to this generation. Put us in challenge, bring another examples, bring another narrative, shocking us. He was shocking us. Like he never joined an idea and prepared for that idea. He come and tell you, "Pam, this is it," and for sure is uncomfortable. You don't know how to deal with it politically, culturally, even community, religion, and that's why I think he created all this generation. He gave all this conflict about identity, about freedom. What's mean freedom? What's mean community? What's mean family? What's mean homeland? What's mean resistance? How to resist? All of that. He for sure he slapped us, and he knew there's a video for him. He knew that what is he doing is not something normal, and will cost him a big price. And he said, "I'm waiting for the bullet," because if you do something and you know why you're doing it, and you understand what is going on in these regimes, in this political area, they know like this guy cannot continue, and he know it, and he said, and there is a video says, "I'm waiting the bullet in my head," and that was the result for sure.
A lot of revolutionaries have that. Like you can see that with Thomas Sankara too, from Burkina Faso, revolutionary from the 80s. That he's just like he knows there's gonna be a backlash, and he also got. Like,
but that's what I call it is the awareness. That's what I call it. Like when you talk people. I was little boy when I hear this kind of things. I never understood it, and I talk it as a romantic. When we young people talk about Che Guevara, talk about communists, talk about this, and you think this is styles. This is styles. You don't understand what it means, and people can be communist, they can be left, right, whatever, and all this mix. But people really don't understand what that means, where it come from, what it means. But with Giuliano, for me, I knew there is something happening to us, but I think that's the only way Giuliano can have the final piece before he go on, because the identity, it was a big question, and he needed people can take over this kind of responsibility, and he always talk about responsibility, but yeah, when you got it a bit late.
What is the responsibility then? The responsibility of theater in a time like this?
I mean, that's the responsibility. It's for me, that's what I'm challenging myself now, because I'm everywhere. I'm telling people I'm not fighting for Palestine only anymore. When you understand it, when you got what is going on in this world, I'm fighting for humanity. I'm fighting for change for this humanity. What we facing in the future, it's gonna be not easy. We lose the values. We're gonna lose the humanity, life, and we're gonna go exactly how, Hollywood preparing us about the future, about oxygen, about the colonization gonna be there, and that's the problem in a different style. The immigration will be different, and that's our next project. Because of responsibility, I want to try to let people at least taste the future. Immigration will not finish. Poor people will not finish. The classism will not finish. Always it will be a new style, a new way of doing the same things, but with even technology now. And that's the problem. If this global warming continue, if this way of using resources in this planet, for sure it will be not all areas able to live. Most of it gonna be ice, most of it gonna be desert, and even Palestine. If we're gonna continue in this way, we're gonna look 100 years, we're gonna have a desert in Palestine, and no one even lives there. So for me, like, guys, no, wait, there is a bigger responsibility. My responsibility is to at least try to make people ask a question, try to understand. I tell them what comes, or show them a little window of what it comes, so they can do something to save ourselves, as a humanity, really. And as a person who, I'm a Palestinian artist, I have to call artist so people understand. I born in a war, I grew up in war, I lived my whole life in war. I see my family got married, divorced, died in a war. I see young people grow up, born, live, die in a war. And for me, it's responsibility to tell people we need to stop war everywhere in this planet, because I know what it means. I know what it do. And I don't want any other community in this world or another countries to live the way I lived, being refugee all your life. You know what I mean? How you can spend your life 60, 70, 80 years, you feel you are a refugee. Any moment you're gonna move. Any moment you don't have a house. Any moment you could die. Any moment, it's crazy. So for me, yeah, as we say, this is documentation. Maybe the next future generation will have this kind of materials to understand where we come from, so they don't do war in that time. So that's my responsibility, and all the artists, because I believe artists, they have a different tools and languages to reach people, to reach communities. We are, I believe, as artists, a real artist, we are a sensors, that we can sense things in humanity, in what is going on, and we reflect in our own way, as a poem, as a movie, as a theater piece, as a book, as a dance, as a video, as a radio. And I believe that's the ways, that's the languages where people can understand. And we need to use it to aware people what is future coming in this kind of ways, for sure.
I really love with the Freedom Theater and then with the work you do, what you're basically cultivating, as I see it, is that you're cultivating like a freedom of mind, a space where people are allowed to like think and try things differently through art. And that is necessarily, it starts from the personal, it starts from the individual person, it starts in the theater, it starts from the body, and it moves to the language and to the movement and then to the group. So question like, the question of revolution as a creative practice, basically, does that start as a personal question?
I mean, for sure, my whole point was like the first challenge when we start work in the theater and with Giuliano in that time, the first question, how to find a different way to resist so we not only die, and not only do the typical picture that the West need to see it. The whole a conflict was how we find a tool to make ourselves noticed from the world in different way. And for sure that was the beginning with Giuliano, is to make us understand, use another way, use another tool. But we thought the freedom was only from the occupation. And when we start to practice a little bit freedom in the way we think about occupation, then we start to meet the another occupations, community occupations, identity occupations, education occupation. It's like there is different ladders in occupation in each country. We don't arrive to this point because we only have a political occupation. The occupation work on the minds, on the culture, on the. For me, culture resistance not only in Palestine and only politics. It could be in Germany. People have rights. Individual need to be not part or exactly what the community want to do. I believe we should have the space of individual to create a healthy individual, to create a healthy community by these healthy individuals. But that's the problem. You start to understand that actually freedom not only be freedom how you live your life. Are you practicing freedom? Do you try to think out of the box? Do you try to challenge yourself and not take what everyone is telling you? And for me, exactly, when I start to go to the theater, you see how people judged me. I still think the same. I still from the community. I still live in Jenin camp. But you see how easy my friends, my people, my family start to criticize me and judge me just because I went to the theater. We did nothing wrong. Nothing. We said nothing. And for me that, so if I don't do what they like in the way they want, then I'm bad. And for me, believe me, when you enjoy to be different, when you enjoy to challenge, it become a hobby. And for you cannot be normal and not evacuate and provoke other people, because that's, you understand, is the only one make people to think is to get them out of their comfort zone. And when you get them out from the zone, they will start to, it's all about this. Even this political issues in this world is all about comfort zone. People want to get more rich, more VIP, more classy, more, and all that's all about. And for sure, when somebody get money from somewhere, it's not easy to lose the money comparing to your values. And that's a big challenge, yeah.
Kindred spirits sitting across the table, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, annoying people and trying to get them out of their comfort zone. Definitely something. I mean, that's what good artists do, no? You sort of, you challenge people.
You got it. Sometimes, to be honest, and now I also try to get out from my comfort zone. Like I repeat the same words for many years. I was believing in one, and when I get out from my comfort zone, which is that exactly where the good questions come, the good work come, when you are out of your comfort zone. And yeah, if any artist you want to, let's say, corrupt any artist, put them in a position, give them a monthly salary, and yeah, they will do everything to have that, because that's what is safety in our mind. But for me, the best thing happened to me, I went out from my comfort zone. And then I start to see everything, doing everything in my own beliefs and eyes and thinking. I'm not manipulating anyone anymore. And believe me, that was a big thing in my life, in my work. As an artistic director or the artistic director before, it was all this honesty. How I will say and practice what I believe, which is not difficult. It was not easy, because everyone expects you to say, to deal, to talk in somehow. And there is many times you have to go down to make things work, go down. And as the first time you go down, you're going to go down again, and then you become corrupted in a different way.
It's very easy for people to have their values corrupted if you think there's like, okay, we'll just give a little bit because it's difficult to stand up to this. We'll give a little bit, and then congratulations, you have a completely corrupted
And I promise you, all what I ask people, it's just, I want you to think about when you become an old person, an old woman or an old man, you're going to remember how you lived your life. You're going to remember and think how you spend your time, what you did. I promise you, the only thing will come, the memories that mean something, that you stood up for someone, you stood up for yourself at least. And that's where for me, that's what I'm proud of now, is that I didn't, because that was a big challenge as Palestinian artist with all this pressure from different ways. Should I meet my values or I will give up my values for the money and the position? And for me, it was so clear. I'm here to make conflicts. I'm here to provoke, and I'm here to be different. Sorry. And that's what makes me feel so good. I am confident, and I really think in a positive way that what I did until now to continue my life as an artist, a theater maker, Palestinian from Jenin camp, it's to do what I believe in the way I believe it, which is not easy for sure.
No, it's not easy, but that's what's the right thing. And Here I Am, and also The Revolution's Promise, which is, by the way, for all the listeners, available like on the website.
Yeah, the
you can
Artist on Front Line.
Yeah, Artist on the Front Line. Yeah, you can download it. And you
Many
can read
materials.
it. It's amazing. Go do that. And you talk about, or those plays, let's say you didn't write them, although you're in both of them. You talk about both your and Zakaria Zubaydah, who's a co-founder of the Freedom Theater and is currently still in jail, no?
Zakaria is out now.
Oh, he's out.
Yeah.
Nice. You were both members of the armed resistance in Palestine. Zakaria much more than you. And these two pieces, The Revolution's Promise and Here I Am, talk about the connection between armed resistance and cultural resistance. Do you just want to explain it to us, like what, for people who don't know that concept, a gun is a very different thing than a stage. What do they have to do with each other?
No, I mean, it's very important. I think that's exactly what Zakaria, why make all this in a way, atmosphere around himself because there is many fighters in this world who are armed and nobody know about them. But I think exactly that's also what we mean. An educated fighter is not like uneducated fighter. The one, he have a culture and art, he know how to use the weapon. Even if you have an AK-47, the point is not only killing people. When you are educated, when you are having a culture, art in your mind, you know how to use the gun. And for me, that's the problem. If you look at all these military leaders or militias in this world, they are uneducated and they're using the gun in a bad way. And I think gun made to save people, not to kill people. And that's what exactly we see even in Palestine. Even armed resistance people, if they are not educated, if they are not culturally aware, they have art, they understand with why we're carrying guns. We are carrying guns to protect, which is the international law. Save that right for any community, any people under occupation, colonized. They have the right to fight. But for me, I believe everyone should fight the way they think is best to resist. I'm not saying one way. I'm not saying two ways. I'm saying culture resistance. And for me, culture resistance is about the way you think, how you resist. Some people good at guns. I'm good at theater. Other people good at the music. And that's what we really, because for me, I'm not coming from one place. I'm coming from history. From the Stone Theater, all the Intifada, first Intifada, second Intifada. I lived and I witnessed all the development of Jenin camp and the theater and artists in that area. So I witness it, and when I talk about it from place that there is also responsibility to me, how I'm gonna be a witness and continue what I'm talking about. So when we were educated in those houses and with Arna, with Jewel, it's all about like, we need to find a new ways and not put the resistance in one style, because that's the West understand. We need to find a new language. And for me, when I understood it, oh shit, you can be a fighter you don't need to die. Like to say what do you want, to achieve what do you want, the point is not to kill yourself. And for me, like, I got it. I want to be alive, an artist, theater maker, and tell my story all my life until I die. If I die normally, I have no problem. But not to suicide. And for me, as Ahmed Tobasi, I don't believe in guns and bombs, and I believe that's the first thing we should get ready of in this world. But I believe in culture and art. Other people believe in other ways to resist. I believe in theater, and I believe in the power of culture and art can make big results. I believe what we saw in Leipzig with artists and the activists, they made everything possible. I believe, and my dream is, all these artists in this world can connect and make like one movement, international artistic movement, where we can fight and defend each other. And I promise you, if we come together, which is always the question, if we come together as artists all over the world, we can change the whole world. It looks romantic, but for me, it's very possible. It just, again, make people believe in that.
I mean, just to illustrate, it's kind of a side point, but to illustrate the way that cultural hegemony works, no one thinks of like a samurai in Japan as being like a negative stereotype to aspire to, right? But because we are always fed the idea of, a threat that can't be controlled and an undisciplined army of rebellions or terrorists, So it's like, it's just in that simple comparison, I think you see the way in which this sort of battle, as it were, is so much a cultural battle.
Yeah,
so much about the way history is written.
But that's for me is the same with Germany. I think the German people also having still a problem from, let's say it in and for me that's very important to articulate things when German now still suffering from the history. German people, German system, they are abused in one way, and then it makes another problems. And now we look like another genocide. Germany cannot have a clear position, which make it more complicated, and we do the same.
Germany has a very clear position.
But very manipulated. But for me, I understand that they do it because they think they're doing something right for other people, which is no. And for me, that's the thing. Is enough thinking about history. We admit it. We have to analyze it. We have to learn it. We have to explain it to people in order to continue. But the important is not to go back and just live in that area. We go back, we see what is wrong, to continue to find another solution.
We have to learn the lessons for the future and see how we put it onto today. But what Germany does is the dead are more important than the living in Germany. It's more important, you know, the dead of the Holocaust, which obviously we have to like grieve and remember and learn from like the crimes and the atrocities of what Germany did back then. But in a way that prevents and stops further crimes and atrocities happening right now, not in a way as like a distraction from the crimes or a justification, which is what it's being used for. It's like crimes from 80 years ago are used to justify crimes now.
Exactly, but for me, that's, as I said, everything it developed because these things was happening all the time. These things happened all the time. We didn't have the right media or a way to get this information. Genocide happening from long time. Occupation, colonization happening from long time. But it took time to arrive to us and we know it. Now I think what is going on in the world, you see it everywhere, it's on fire. It's because really it's a period for the next future. Who's be there, who's not. And you know, for me, as I said, even about Palestine, guys, don't forget, it's almost 100 years of propaganda, money, billions to change the narrative. So Palestine now, it's in a way a sacrifice to other community, other people to understand. Because for me, if they manage to change the Palestinian story, for me, that's the end of the world.
So this is the bit where we shamelessly ask you for your support. If you think this content is important and you'd like the podcast to get its wings, consider supporting us on patreon.com/Radio Against Repression. Even a €2 donation helps to keep the lights on. But signing up for a free membership and a 5-star rating would be so appreciated. There is no paywall, and there never will be.
If they manage to finish Palestine story, blah, 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 for me, this is the sign where is clearly we are going, and then we could not change the system.
And that's why it's so important that we keep the stories of Palestine alive, and that's why the role of the artist is also so important.
That's very important, because that's what I tell people. What is happening in Palestine, it's not only about Palestine, it's our whole world, whole politics, whole economical, how these people think about the future. And we know, as I said, war is a circle, it's not one place and done. We finish from here, we go to other community, other resources, other people, and always they will find a way to address that war. Jewish, Muslims, terrorist Arabs, West, East, Christian, and for sure this is all labels just to use it against other people.
I mean, we even see that now. There's the quote-unquote ceasefire in Gaza, which is still, you know, Israel killing a bunch of people. And then they turn away a little bit from Gaza, and now they're just using that to destroy the West Bank more. And they're turning back to Lebanon, and now Israel is threatening a new war with Lebanon. And it really just goes in a circle.
It will go forever as a circle if we do not stop it, or at least people change the system. And for me, change the system for sure is not tomorrow, and it's not in. I don't know how long it takes. Yeah, but you never know. And I believe empires always fall when they look so strong. Always empires. If you take it from the French, from the British, from the Americans, always. Inshallah soon also, this world will change, because this empire we cannot continue in this planet, one country, one nation controlling everything. We can't, because we are not one. I have no problem. If we are one, fantastic, we are one. But the problem, that's the beauty of humanity. Different culture, different languages, different art, different history. That's how we are rich. That's what makes us different from anything from this world. And if we want to make everyone the same, we are really going to be a machine, and we're really going to be, and I'm telling you, yes, what I saw as animation movies, as space movies, whatever, I see it, and they prepare for it. We're going to be controlled. And if this technology continue, we will find ourselves as a humanity controlled in somehow without even we know that we already controlled. And what kind of future, what kind of imagination humanity that we need if that gonna end like this.
The power of technology as surveillance is really intense. Like, you don't even have to think about, you know, the really big crazy dystopia things. It's even just like we're being surveilled every day. There's more and more cameras everywhere.
But that's what I mean. The dictatorship is even transforming. Dictatorship is also, that's what I'm trying to tell people. These people are smart, working all the time, how to develop and make it not easy to be understood. And dictatorship now, that's what I'm talking about, is changing. Technology and the people who owns this kind of companies, they become more important leaders for the planet more than the politicians themselves. Like, the importance way is changing. And you're going to see the future dictators, the future people who control the world, not you as Trump or Netanyahu or these political people or Putin. It will be Microsoft, it will be iTunes, it will be Mac, it will be all these companies who control our life, machines, phones, everything, and then we cannot do anything.
I mean, I suggest everyone listening to look up Techno-Feudalism by Yanis Varoufakis, because he talks exactly about that. And I read a super fun and interesting article the other day where it was talking about, you know, AI and the prompts, etc., and what can actually break AI prompts, like what breaks their flow. And one of the best things to break their flow is like poetry, because they cannot, like, that cannot be comprehended by a machine like that. And I think that brings us back so beautifully to the role of the artist, and like the artist as someone that, you know, these oppressive regimes like Germany, Israel, the US, they know that artists are a threat. And I maybe also here want to just shout out a friend of mine who is, his name's Abdallah Moutan. He's a filmmaker, you know him? Yeah, from the West Bank, a Palestinian filmmaker. And he's been in jail for almost 11 months now because he made a film about the Israeli, it's called Deferred Reclaim. It's about the Israeli practice of keeping Palestinian prisoners who die in Israeli jails, who are like killed by negligence or torture or medical neglect, and they keep them in jail because they have to, you know, quote unquote finish their sentence. And Abdallah made a film about it and was then arrested and is now being held under administrative detention. And I think the fact that, you know, and he's by far not the only artist who is in jail, it shows the power of the artist.
No, but you see, for me, it's like with the project we did, even me as a Palestinian artist, I never felt how important or the value of our work. And it just to start to meet other artists and hear the stories, it's what? Because, you know, artists, is always people think about us, we are too sensitive, we are crazy, we are out of this world, we are I don't know what.
All of which is still true.
It is still true.
And somehow,
but at the same time.
Yeah, and somehow I understand it's because we are not here to meet your expectations, but at the same time, we are part of what is going on. Like, we are part of this life, and we have our own way of reflecting, and that's our job to reflect, to ask, to present things for people in a different way. And that's the whole important, in a nice, beautiful, and violence, whatever you call it, way that it doesn't harm anyone in typical way. But yeah, I mean, in Palestine, you see the artist being shot in prison, being in the court for many years, and all of that because only the artwork, and says a lot. Because, you know, for me, that's what I'm saying. Each time I have a question or a doubt about what I'm doing. Because, you know, all the time there's a moment makes you wonder, is really you doing something, or is this just another way that people lie at you? And for me, I promise you, each time I arrive to that question, something will happen. Show me, yes, that's the way, that's the difference between me and other people. We're doing it in this way. And yes, I believe culture and art, they know it. That's why the first thing they arrest, the first thing they will put in censorship is the artist. At the same time, art could be corrupted, because the first thing also dictators will corrupt is the artist, to put them in their sights. And the first one they're going to be arrested is the artist if they are not with them. And it says a lot. And I promise you, when I go to museums and I see all these pictures all these artworks from long time. And now with all this technology, database, whatever is like, any picture, any artwork will stay alive for long. And for me, exactly, that's what is resistance. We do things that is gonna live for the whole life. And that's how you can be not dead shortly. You know, many people come to this life, they have no effect. They come and go, nobody knows about them. Nobody feel about them. Some people come and everyone knows about them. Some people come, they take the space, they take some attention, but they are not like anyone else. They don't come and go without. And for me, really, which kind of person you want? You want to be in this planet with these millions, with these people, and nobody feel you? Nobody feel your presence? And for me, no. I cannot be like any other billion people. I want to be realized, at least.
I mean, I really enjoy this kind of contradiction, right? So you're bringing this kind of existential creativity, and it's kind of a message for us, let's say, in Berlin, to wake up, to recognize the role that creativity plays in pushing back against, for example, now we have the rise of the far right again. In political terms, it's always been there. So people start to realize, oh, maybe we should do something about police violence. Maybe we should do something about censorship, right? On the other hand, in Berlin, we also say, as an artist, you have so much exposure, you can end up dying of exposure, right? Because you have this permanent resiliency to keep going despite the fact that there's no money, there's no studios, there's no way to really survive. And I remember last week in Leipzig after the play, which was one of the most powerful performances I've ever seen. And you were talking about the problem of capturing the Palestinian people as a kind of ethnic group that gets celebrated one day a year. We have Palestine Day, right? So how do you balance that kind of, you have the creativity on one side and you have the cultural capture on the other side? At the moment, we have the Gaza Biennale, I think is worth a mention in Berlin as well, which has been very powerful. And I raised this piece when we were talking with some of the founders to that as well, about how do you prevent it from becoming a kind of corporate, oligarchical, like enclosed event that just happens and becomes a token gesture. Yeah?
You know, I think, it's very complicated. I know it's very complicated subjects what we are talking about. And if like a normal person listen to this, he will like, what the hell are they talking about? Because we need people to be educated, read. So when we hear these subjects, you don't feel we are from a different planet. But you know, for me, exactly, I will try to make it compare a bit between technology and what we do in resistance and artists and whatever. You know, in this phone or in this technology, they made things ready for you. So in your mind, you don't process how we create a table. You go to a machine, says table, it comes table. So if this machine destroyed, you as a person, you don't know how to make table. Then you as a humanity, you already limited. And by letting Palestine or by making Germany, young people in Germany, don't know how to protest, don't know how to ask for their rights. They will not have this knowledge about what's right mean, what I can do as my right, how I can say no to the police. Because the drones, the weapons, the technology they use in Palestine, it's one systematic governments will take the same system and apply it on German. So in future, German people, they cannot say no to the politicians, or if they want to demonstrate for a right, they don't know how to demonstrate. So you imagine which kind of generation you create. You create an empty people, exactly machine, not because they are not learned. And for me, they don't want you to learn the process. And that's what is all technology about. We're gonna do everything, but I can do everything in my phone. I can take picture, video, create an app. I can Facebook message, create video, picture, But if they stop it, I don't know. I cannot do anything because it's made in that thing, not in my head. So in my head, I don't know how I should be creative. You see what I mean? And that's the problem. Normal life, and when we run away a bit of, and that's what I say, and I value children, because if the children will grow up normally, like they play, they go to nature, they know what's mean fall down and stand up. They mean that sometimes there's a problem, you need to find it yourself. That's how the creativity as children will grow up. But if you put children, give them technology, don't know what's mean to fall and to stand up, to hurt, a pain, a trust, teamwork, solidarity, support, that you see where we're going.
It's a practice, no? Like resistance is a practice and community is a practice and like solving problems is a practice.
But that's the human. It's about surviving. It's about survival.
No, it's about living.
You survive, you're living, you engaged with nature, you engaged with time, you engaged with difficulties, you engaged with needs, you engaged to make beautifuler things, easier things, but without creativity, without have the space for young people to learn, there is always a space to be creative, to deal, then we preparing for a very machines future. They will not even be able to deal with their life.
I mean, it's about improvisation as well, right? Like, to bring it back to the theatre again, because you improvise with these objects, suddenly this object is not a banana, it's a phone, right? Classic example. But
yeah, exactly. I mean, when I look at my daughter, which is like 2 years, she know exactly how to open the phone, which app, which video. I mean, she can go to the video 23. She know which video gonna connect her to that video. But she cannot say, I want to go to toilet. She spends all the time and like when she want to pee, she didn't have the tool to tell her mother, like, I have something, I need to go to the toilet. She do it in herself. And that took time to teach her, like, when you do this, you feel like this, you have to do like this. You see what I mean?
There's no app for it yet, yeah.
That's what I mean. And for me, that's why I'm fighting for children specific. Because, always we hear about children is the future. And, it's become typical, children is the future. But when you really work with it, because that's what I was doing in Jenin camp for a long time. I was working with children. Not because I want to work with children. I know as a child, I took this kind of chance. And I know what it did to me. I know what it affected me. And I want them to have the same chance. Not to be an artist or only to be an actor or actress. Is about to have this tool. How to express yourself, how do you tell your story, how to reach things and talk about difficult subjects, but you still speak in a different way. So yeah, creativity, space, freedom is not, we should not deal with it as the West, how they teach us. It's not the same meaning. Yes.
Maybe one last question before we wrap up. What's your, if you can even say that, just like what you think of, if I say one piece of art that like really changed your perspective, one piece of art that really influenced you, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
No, to be honest, my experience, because from Palestine, my first place was Bruxelles with KVS and Hildegard. She was also dramaturg working there, and that's where we start the exchange in Ramallah and Brussels. And for sure, it was my first time I go out of Palestine, and it was my first time residency in a big theater in Brussels, and then that experience made me understand there is art, there is groups, there is theaters, there is audience, and it changed my whole understanding about audience. In Palestine, we were finding different ways to bring the audience. It was, for me, in that time, it was fascinating to see there is line on theater, on dance. Like how people pay tickets, people call, people, and for me, it's like there is something wrong. And, then you understand what's mean culture. Culture is not only seeing theater, but culture is the way people live, the way people think. That's culture. The way people eat, the way people practice their life. And you see, wow, in Bruxelles there is art. Like they respect something called art, which for me, I was coming artist as a fighter, as fighter. We sweat, be dirty, should we work? And there, no, artist, you should be reflecting in a different way, make people think in a different way. And yes, for me, that was like, okay. And when you see young people doing all this political try to provoke, try to ask questions like, wow, actually, yes, art is not for manipulating people. Art is for provoking people, and put your finger on the subjects that not anyone can speak about or even mention. And my way is not only provoke people, but how I speak, and I put my finger on that subject without I make it in a typical whatever way. So when I was seeing that the way they're doing projects, art, have no limitation, have no censorship, you can talk about your feeling, it was like, oh. And then, I mean, they affect me. That's the way I learn, actually. I saw a lot of theaters. I saw a lot of festivals. In that time, it was really a lot of festivals, theaters, dance. And that's what said, okay, I'm not going back before I study this. Because if I'm not strong, even artist, it doesn't, I have to have knowledge in art so I can convince people when I do something, or touch them at least. And for me, yes, that's the way. When I went in Bruxelles, it changed my whole mind about art, and I find how important it is. Yeah.
Well, which year was that? When was that exactly?
2008.
Okay.
Yeah. That was first time, but yeah, I think that's the difference in future. What is the role of artist? And for me, that's the question, because I ask all artists to take responsibility first. And again, we need to bring back the value and the importance of art and culture. It's very important, and we don't let anyone corrupt it. We can fight, we can argue through art and theater, and that's what I think how art even come. It's because people want to express, want to talk about big things that they cannot face, and then that's creativity. So let's have creativity. For me, resistance is a creativity, art is a creativity, and that's the way a human can exist with each other. Other ways, for me, is killing people, and when you kill people, you don't make a change, you kill somebody, and I'm trusting in change and make people change.
I mean, it's wonderful, or it's interesting to hear these values being kind of shared with a German listenership, right?
Yeah.
With the Western listenership. And we had this question about, is it possible for Germany to come to this realization that, with great power comes great responsibility? You know,
I wish that people stay people and do not fall in the politics. Politics will always change.
Yeah.
Politics will always find a way to make this politician get what they want. They really do not care about people. And for me, my message to the people, don't fall in this election promises, in this politicians creating conflicts to get what they want. Let them in the castle, in the parliament, and we are in life. And we should fight for each other and make sure we not fall and make another war and support another war. That's what we can do at least.
Yeah, it's tricky because it's such a different idea of politics when you have people in the streets, like at the weekend particularly, or 2 weeks ago, who are really fighting back against the far-right AfD party. And there is this disconnect between a political representation of those people, but it's still a political act, or it's...
I mean, it's the class question, no? There's the political class, the ruling class, and then there's everyone else. And yeah, I think the question of political theater, obviously, everything we do is shaped by values and shaped by political...
That's the way. For me, when I went to... Why I'm saying that, because I don't want to play the same game that been playing from 200 years. It's the game, left, right. And many people using it. And for me, I learned that when I went to Chile and I came to do work about Palestine. And then you find Palestinians who are left, and they ask you, are you left to support you? And you have the communist and the right ones ask you, are you this or that so we can support you? And it was for me amazing that, guys, I'm Palestinian, and I come to talk and work about Palestine, not left, not right. But you see what I mean? So sometimes you ask question, do you really need to be left or right? That's another thing, because I don't believe in all of this now. We should create a new system that only fight for a human being, not for left, not for right. And this is, I know people not use, but what I mean, people need to go out from this comfort zone. Like in France, when this election happened, the government stopped. They didn't know what to do. Like, who's gonna take over? Yeah, because we, as a human being, we didn't learn. If there is no government, how we can exist? And for me, really, I don't want to play the game of left and right. I want to play the game of humanity. A human being, we do it as a human being. Left, right, they should be in the parliament and we choose them in a right way. And they do for us. But this takes time, whatever.
We would be living in a very different world if people in parliament would actually be doing what the people who elected them want.
I mean, that time everything will be ready. Even people will not realize, because I think the war will be different, the control will be different, censorship will be different. I believe if this continue, I can see it. It goes to really a place where they have to offer life. You have to offer to go to the space. You have to offer to take a rocket and immigrate to the space and to live in this healthy, nice structures in the space. Otherwise, you're going to live here, desert, cold, no oxygen, no water, and that's how people fight. You see what I mean? And that's a very dark future for humanity. Because if all this goes, how are we going to bring back this planet to life?
And that's why we have to do everything we can right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Yeah, right now, please. Teach people, tell them. Yeah.